So I am just arriving at the examination hearing into the Green Hill solar farm application. This is a huge solar farm. It'll be the biggest in the UK, taking up prime agricultural land across the western side of the constituency, all the way from Walgrave and Old, round Mears Ashby and down to Earls Barton. So I'm here to represent the views of many, many residents who've written to me concerned about this application. Yes, we want solar farms, we want renewable energy, but let's put them on top of the warehouses. Let's not waste prime agricultural land, and that's what I'll be making sure I say today at this hearing.
But I want to take this opportunity to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to represent the literally hundreds and hundreds of constituents who have contacted me regarding this proposal. Whilst a significant number of points have been presented to me, with your permission, I will concentrate on the most significant points that have been raised, given the time constraints. The first is the loss of high-quality agricultural land. A major concern is the proposed development's use of best and most versatile agricultural land, defined as land within grades 1, 2 and 3A of the agricultural land classification system. The NPPF states that where significant development of agricultural land is necessary, areas of poorer quality land should be preferred to those of higher quality. Similarly, the National Planning Policy Statement for Renewable Energy Infrastructure, EN3, advises developers to consider the quality of agricultural land when selecting sites for solar development. Available information indicates that a substantial proportion of the site area lies within BMV classifications. The proposed development therefore risks the long-term loss of productive farmland across a large rural area. And therefore this raises wider concerns in relation to national food security, particularly given the increasing pressures caused by climate change and of course the global supply instability that is particularly highlighted given the current global political situation. And also the irreversible change to soil quality resulting from construction, cable installation and any decommissioning. Although solar development is sometimes described as a temporary land use, the proposed 60-year operational period represents multiple agricultural generations, during which time the land would effectively be removed from full productive use. Indeed, I will probably be dead by the end of this project, as will probably most of its sponsors. Given these factors, the proposal doesn't align with the national policy objectives aimed at safeguarding high-quality agricultural land for future food production. Secondly, I want to talk about the inappropriate scale and location. The development covers approximately 1,200 acres, 9 sites and 31 kilometres, making it one of the largest solar projects proposed in the UK. The scale of the development is comparable to the footprint of Heathrow Airport, highlighting the magnitude of the proposed scheme. The dispersed nature of the scheme, spread across multiple solar sites surrounding numerous villages, risks creating the perception that communities are encircled by industrial-scale energy infrastructure. This is of real concern to the residents in Walgrave, Old, Mears Ashby and Earls Barton, to name just a few. They feel that they will be transformed from an idyllic rural landscape to an overbearing industrial one. The proposal therefore raises significant concerns regarding compliance with the design principles contained in the National Policy Statement for Energy EN1, which requires infrastructure projects to minimise environmental impacts through appropriate site selection, layout and scale. In particular, the scale of the development appears disproportionate to the rural landscape in which it sits. The distribution of sites risks creating coalescence between settlements, reducing the visual and spatial separation between villages, and also the landscape character of the Northamptonshire countryside, defined by open farmland and historic settlement patterns, would be fundamentally altered. While national policy recognises the importance of renewable energy infrastructure, it also requires that developments be sensitively located and proportionate to the surroundings, which this proposal does not appear to achieve. They want to move on to alternative sites because many residents support the expansion of renewable energy, but believe that alternative locations should be prioritised before developing productive agricultural land. National planning policy encourages this. There is a strong public support for expanding solar deployment on warehouses and industrial rooftops, supermarket car parks and brownfield land. And whilst it is recognised that not all buildings have suitable orientation, in the rapid growth of large logistic and warehouse developments across Northamptonshire and my constituency presents significant opportunities for rooftop solar generation. Sites are literally being prepared as we speak today. The application document appears to provide limited evidence of a detailed sequential site assessment, demonstrating that brownfield sites, rooftop installations and lower grade agricultural land were thoroughly evaluated before selecting large areas of BMV farmland. Without a transparent comparison of these alternatives, it is difficult to conclude that the current proposal represents the most sustainable or policy compliant location for solar development. Moving on to environmental and heritage impacts, the proposed development raises concerns regarding landscape character, heritage assets, biodiversity and environmental risk. For example, from elevated viewpoints, particularly around Walgrave and nearby ridge lines, solar clusters may be highly visible, creating a substantial change to the visual character of the countryside. The project also lies within historic landscape containing listed buildings, conservation areas, historic field patterns and archaeological remains. The National Planning Policy Framework requires decision makers to conserve and enhance the historic environment, ensuring that the developments do not cause unacceptable harm to heritage assets or their settings. Specific concerns have also been raised with me by residents over the World War II aircraft crash site near Mears Ashby, which may fall under the protections of the Protection of the Military Remains Act 1986. The possibility that the site may contain ordnance or human remains warranting careful archaeological investigation and preservation. Environmental impacts are also associated with hedgerow removal and vegetation clearance during construction, potential disturbance to wildlife habitats and long-term fragmentation of ecological corridors. In addition, the loss of jobs such as farming and livery threatens to change the way of life in this unique area forever. Taken together, these issues suggest the proposal could lead to significant environmental and heritage impacts that have not been fully resolved. Moving on to the lifespan, as I said earlier, the project proposal has a lifespan of approximately 60 years, which is significantly longer than the lifespan typically associated with solar panel technology, which usually has a lifespan of 25 to 35 years, meaning that significant replacement or refurbishment could be required during the project's lifetime, which raises questions regarding the long-term environmental impact of panel replacement and disposal, the potential increase in waste materials and resource consumption, and whether the project's overall life cycle emissions remain consistent with its stated environmental objectives. There is also concern that if the project were to become economically unviable in the future, it could be abandoned without full restoration of the land. For this reason, many residents believe that a financial decommissioning bond should be required from the developer to ensure that funds are available to restore the land to agricultural use once the project ends. Without such safeguards, there is concern that the land could become permanently degraded, eventually being reclassified as brownfield land and potentially redeveloped for housing. On construction, the construction phase of the project is expected to involve large volumes of heavy goods vehicles, transporting solar panels, mounting structures, cables and other equipment to multiple dispersed sites. Many of the surrounding roads are narrow rural lanes designed primarily for agricultural vehicles rather than sustained HGV traffic, which brings about potential impacts including increased road safety risks for pedestrians, cyclists and horse riders, noise pollution affecting nearby residents, damage to local road infrastructure not designed for heavy construction, and disruption to daily life. With construction anticipated to take years rather than months, the impact of this needs to be considered. And then on to the disruption for local access and recreation. The countryside surrounding the proposed development is widely used for walking, cycling and horse riding, forming an important part of the area's recreational and cultural identity. Several well-used routes are located within or adjacent to the proposed sites. Construction activities increase traffic, and the presence of extensive solar infrastructure risks reducing the amenity value of these routes, disrupting established recreational patterns, altering the rural experience that residents and visitors currently enjoy. Although permissive paths are sometimes offered as mitigation, these do not carry the same legal protections as formal rights of way and can be withdrawn in the future. Many residents therefore feel that the social and community value of these landscapes has not been adequately considered. So in conclusion, while there is broad recognition of the importance of renewable energy and the role of solar panel can play in supporting the UK's transition to a low-carbon energy system, the location, scale and land use implications of this particular proposal raise significant concerns for many local communities. In particular, the loss of best and most versatile farmland and the industrial scale of the development across a very rural landscape suggests that the project, as proposed, does not represent the most appropriate or sustainable approach to delivering renewable energy infrastructure in the UK. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Andrew. Thank you.